Hello and welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is episode 46 and I'm really excited. I've got Max Haot on the show, who is the CEO and founder of Mevo Cameras, as well as many other things. How are you doing, Max?
I'm great. I'm loving the energy.
Well, you've got to stop with a bit of energy, otherwise you don't want people to fall asleep when they start watching your live streams. So it's great to have you on. And if you're watching the replay, it's great to have you here. If you're watching the replay, just let me know by putting #replay in the comments. That'd be awesome. I'm streaming to Facebook, LinkedIn Live, Periscope, and Facebook. So also let us know where you're watching and also where in the world you're from, which would be cool. So I'm excited to have you on, Max, because I've had my eyes on Mevo cameras for a long time, and particularly at the moment in the mad world we're living in with, I'm not going to mention the virus, but I just have, but a lot of conferences and events are moving on to do it virtually. So Mevo cameras is obviously a really easy way to do that. Where in the world are you calling from at the moment?
We're in Brooklyn, in New York City.
Cool. Excellent. And how have things been for you in the last few weeks? Have things been a little bit mad?
Yeah, obviously, personally, and the concern for, families and team members is obviously great because of the virus. With regards to Mevo specifically, it's been a good feeling that we are actually helping. In general, the world is anyway moving into live streaming and video conferencing. But because of the virus outbreak, this awareness that there's a need to communicate or have that tool to communicate live is greatly and instantly accelerated. And we are here to help. And so, some people obviously are using video conferencing like Zoom, but other people, whether it's schools, government, house of worship, or businesses that need to broadcast using a live stream, have been suddenly looking, how do I live stream something from an event, from a room? And Mevo appears to be a very relevant, easy to use, affordable solution that's beyond just using a phone or webcam, but not as far as buying PTZ cameras or big cameras and video switchers. So we are the right place at the right time to help. I'm actually at the office today with a very limited team. Most of our team members that can work from home, obviously at home, but we're making donations. Our first donation is 100 cameras to the New York schools, the public schools. So we're working on preparing them and delivering them. Our next donation is a 100 cameras to other organizations around the world that have applied, that can have a good use related to virus-related communication or continuity. So yeah, obviously everything is disrupted, but our demand for Mevo cameras has surged in the last week 10 times, and we do everything we can so we can ship them and deliver them or donate them when we can in the right hands.
That's awesome. Well, if you could repeat what you've just been saying, we'll go into this again after the break because I'll be starting the podcast. Podcast recording, but that is really awesome. Thank you so much, Max. So we'll be with you just after this.
This is the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray, helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. Gain confidence in front of the camera, confidence with technology, and confidence with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello, it's the Confident Live Marketing Show. My name's Ian Anderson Gray. This is episode 46. And in today's show, we're going to be talking about streaming your events live with Mevo Cameras. I've got the CEO and founder of Mevo Cameras, Max Haot, on the show, which is really exciting. So I'll be bringing him in very shortly. But before we do that, it's time to introduce my first sponsor, which today is Restream. Restream is the complete multi-streaming suite for entrepreneurs. With Restream, you can stream to multiple platforms all at the same time, and they have a plethora of destinations, including LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, Periscope, and so much more. So the great thing is with Restream, you can stream from whatever tool you have. It could be OBS Studio, it could be Ecamm Live, whatever, and they will take that stream and multicast it to wherever you want really easily. So if you don't want to do that, of course, if you want to make it really simple, you can also just broadcast very simply from the Restream website as well. Now, Restream has chat facilities, it has analytics and a scheduler. And with the chat service, this is really cool. You can view and engage with your audience from all the destinations that you stream to. That is going to be really, really cool because you want to make sure that you're engaging with your audience wherever you stream to. So I've been really blown away also by the analytics section. This shows your stream metrics, how many viewers, how many watched minutes you've got, new followers, and more. And finally, the scheduler allows you to broadcast pre-recorded video live. So if you want to do your video pre-recorded and then upload as if it was live, you can do it that way. So if you want to find out more, if you want to have a little play with it, they've got a free plan as well. Just go to iag.me/restream. Well, it's my pleasure to bring on Max Haot. Max is the founder and CEO of Launcher, which is developing the world's most efficient rocket to deliver small satellites to orbit. I found that very exciting. And also the founder of Livestream, which powers the world's live events. And today we're going to be focusing on Mevo Cameras. He's launched Mevo Cameras, which is the live events camera, which is really awesome. So, Max, thank you so much for coming onto the show at so short notice.
Well, thanks for having me. And as I mentioned, you know, live video is all about short notice and being in real time. So happy to be here.
It certainly is. It certainly is. It's all very real time at the moment. So we've got some lovely comments. So I can see that Rhonda Peterson is watching on LinkedIn. It's great to see here, Rhonda. And Tim on Facebook is saying, what's he saying? He's saying, yes, he says he loves my energy. Well, that's great. I do try. So cool. So Max, you seem to do quite a few different things. I mean, I've mentioned rocket launching. So this is Launcher, and you're also Mevo Cameras as well, and also Livestream. Could you just give us a little potted history of how you got into all of this and what you're doing and how you manage all of these various companies?
Well, it's more straightforward than that. So my career for the last 20 years has been in video and live video. Streaming was involved since '95, and the previous startup that I founded, which was from 2005 to 2017, or 2007 actually, sorry, 2017, was Livestream, which I'm sure you're familiar with, a live video platform. And then we sold it to Vimeo at the end of 2017, so it's now part of Vimeo Live. My next, after video, I have an ambition to want to switch my career to contribute to space exploration. And I started my next startup, which is called Launcher, where right now we're building the most efficient 3D printed liquid rocket engine to eventually build a rocket to deliver small satellites. So it's out of what's happening in that industry, the opportunities that are there, but also a personal desire, to do my next thing for the next, hopefully 100 years of my work, maybe less. And then Mevo, as you mentioned, was actually founded, the Mevo Camera, you can see it on the stand right here, the new one, was founded as part of Livestream when we realized that people that had events, it was always very difficult for them to go and start streaming and understand, camera, video switchers, and I'm sure you know about that since you're educating everybody here about all these different solutions. And so we felt, hey, what if we could have a very simple video camera that, live streaming was not like a fifth feature, like a GoPro or whatever, but everything about the hardware, everything about the software is designed for live streaming event and making it easy and affordable. So the previous camera is $399, the new one is $299. And doing it with good production value, some basic graphics and good audio and so on. And soon we'll introduce actually multi-camera switching. Right now we do virtual multi-camera. So Mevo was created from that desire. There's no solution, let's make one. And we launched our first product, the original Mevo, in 2016. We've manufactured and sold more than 90,000 around the world to organizations and business and individuals that want to stream events. Anything from house of worship, government, education, which are right now obviously very relevant, to even personal event personal bands or kids baseball or recital and all these different use cases for streaming. And then more recently, so as I mentioned, Vimeo purchased Livestream, and in that process, they purchased Mevo. And as part of their strategy to focus on software, they basically, we were talking and last year, and I had the opportunity to buy it back. And I love the Mevo product. I love our customer and user community. I think a lot more can be done, and it's only the beginning of live streaming cameras in general. And also we have an incredible team we're about 30 people of amazing software and hardware engineer and support people. So it was an opportunity I couldn't pass. So suddenly I ended up with two startups. One very long term. We won the launcher. You can check it out at launcherspace.com. We won last year an Air Force grant. So that's my full-time job and my long-term mission. And then Mevo, an opportunity I couldn't pass, and I spent about 1 to 2 days of my time leading this incredible team of 30 people that is growing the business now as a separate company called Mevo Inc. So that's how I ended up with two startups, not by design. Actually, it's an interesting situation, but it made a lot of sense for me, for the team, and for the products, and our customers. So that's what I'm doing now.
That's awesome. And yeah, I think it's so cool that you've got these two startups that are doing very different things. And yeah, I didn't realize about launch that you'd founded Launcher Space, and I was looking at the website and thinking, wow, this is so cool. And then somebody asked me, of course, I'm sure you've been asked this a lot, but when are you looking at being able to do a live stream from space? I mean, that's obviously going to be the next thing.
Well, I think that will happen before, our goal is to be able to reach orbit, and only 11 countries have successfully reached orbit with their own rocket. So it's not a small goal, but to reach orbit before 2026. So it's a really long-term investment and startup. And to finish our full-scale engine, we'll test the engine this year and the full-scale ready to be sold by the end of next year. But basically what's happening in space is satellites have been miniaturizing, and you might have also heard that Starlink from SpaceX, and now there's competition from Amazon and another company called OneWeb, will bring high bandwidth, low latency internet in orbit. And what's amazing is that will allow somebody to launch a small satellite and to live stream from it using this satellite. Because right now, connectivity is still a very big challenge from satellites, small satellites in orbit. And now, because this big infrastructure is going up there, I think we're going to see it very soon. Hopefully, a company like Planet, you can check them out, planet.com. They already have 300 satellites that are, imaging the Earth every day, but not in real time, right? They're taking photos and selling them. And maybe they will be doing live streaming first. So I don't think we'll be the first one, but when we have access to orbit, we'll for sure do it. So
that's awesome. Well, I'm really excited to follow the progress of that, and I'll definitely be following that. So, but today we're focusing on live streaming events, and I've been speaking with a lot of people, whether they are looking at moving over to a completely virtual event. So my friends Andrew and Pete, who've been producing this, putting on this big event here in the UK for marketers, they're having to really think about moving it over to be a virtual event. And then there are churches and conferences and all the other things around the world, and they're really struggling to know how to do this. And I've been trying to help people with what gear they need and the tools and the techniques. And it's a lot easier than it used to be, but it still can be quite complicated. What I love about the Mevo camera is that it's all built in. You don't have to get any, there aren't any other parts. Basically, this is a 4K camera, and it basically live streams it all for you. So can you just maybe tell us, for people who are very new to live streaming, but they're moving from having a in-person event to a virtual event, how, have you got any tips on how people can make that transition, and how do you feel that the Mevo camera fits into that?
I mean, to paint the landscape, firstly, I think there's some confusion between live streaming and conferencing. So, conferencing is great up to 100 people when you want real-time interaction. Zoom is an incredible solution. We actually wish and hope our Mevo camera can be a client in Zoom, but it's not yet the case. But if you are trying to broadcast and have people, chat back using text, as you would see on YouTube Live and others, and this is great if you want to have, bigger audience, then, obviously live streaming in general, not just Mevo, is what you need. So Mevo is really everything to do with the capture and the encoding. You obviously need two more things. You need three more things. You need an internet connection, a reliable one. You need a video player or platform, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Restream. Actually, your sponsor, you can take an RTMP URL and stream to Restream and then reach many others. And then you need the capture and production. And so some people then have to choose, what should I use? I'm new to live streaming. And in my view, it starts with the mobile phone, right, being the easiest, even easier than a desktop. The problem with the mobile phone is, first, you don't have spare ones. They're now, more and more expensive for the good quality video ones. And then if you put it on a tripod at an event, it might not be there at the end of the event, right? It's a device people value a lot for other use. Also, somebody might call you, and the battery life is not great, and the microphone is not for event, and so on. So, but many people do live event putting a phone or an iPad on a tripod. And then on the other extreme, everybody wants the live stream to look like television, right? That's kind of, you're always up for disappointment because you want to look like a movie or like the Super Bowl or whatever TV show. And so for that, as you know, it's it can be cameras of hundreds of thousands of dollars and video switchers and crews of tens of people, or like the simpler version, it can be cameras of thousands of dollars and a lot of cable and a crew of 2 or 3 and video switcher. So with that setup, you probably will have better production value than with a phone and even with a single camera Mevo. But so we see basically people want the highest production value they can have. I think it's maybe one day they will have a multi-camera production like TV, but most of them cannot afford it or don't have the skill or don't want a high production company. And then so you go back and you're really talking about an iPhone or a Mevo. And now you're talking about the Mevo is $299, so it's very affordable. This is the new one, Mevo style, but the current one being sold is $399. So even more affordable than many mobile phone. But everything is made for live event, and obviously you can have in this version 1080p, in the other version a 4K sensor. So it's the perfect solution if you can't jump into the full multi-camera stuff, and if you need more than the mobile phone. There's nothing out there like it. There's many other cameras like drones or GoPro or DJI that have an ability to stream. You'll very often find that it's very unreliable. It's like a feature they don't even seem to test. The networking options are not there, whether you need Ethernet or to be a Wi-Fi hotspot or to join. The integration to all the platforms are not there. The audio workflow options are not there. So we're really the only one in the market that are basically saying, hey, let's build a small and affordable camera and make sure that everything is optimized from our iOS and Android software to control it to the hardware and how it's mounted and the battery. Everything is optimized for live streaming, and we're learning, right? It's not always perfect, and so all the new features we're putting in the software, all the new features we're putting in the next generation of camera hardware is with live streamer as a priority. And so, this camera, like some of the improvement, I don't know if you can show the current one, but within this size, we've reduced the price from $399 to $299. We've improved the low light sensitivity. We've improved the audio. We now have 3 microphone with a beam forming or spatial audio processing, which allows to focus on voice and remove more noise or remove echo. We now have an audio input #1, feature. So if you don't want to use our microphone, you can put an audio input directly, and we have other options using our app. We have mounting, whether it's standard tripod, but you can remove this insert and actually mount it on a microphone stand because it's so light you don't need a tripod, so you can put it right in front of the stage, and it doesn't bother the view of people like a big camera would do, and so on. And we have 6 hours of streaming in HD, which is no camera out there, with the built-in battery. So if you want, you can plug it in, but if you want, you have a 2, 3, 4 hour event and you want peace of mind, 6 hours, very, very unique. So all of this, and there's many other features, virtual editing, obviously it streams to all the platform, it has an SD card record, but the point here is everything is with live streaming in mind. That's what's very different about it.
That's awesome. And I mean, the thing is, this is so simple to use. This is one of the things I love about this, because, I've been talking about a lot of gear and tech on the show. We've been talking about using software from your computer. I've got a Canon M50 plugged into my computer using USB. I've got a microphone. I've got an audio interface. I've got all these things happening. And that's great. If you're in a small office or at home. But if you are running an event, or if you're running like a church service and you're wanting to stream that, most people are not going to want to deal with all that tech. And so with the Mevo camera, the thing I love about it is that it's just so simple, particularly with this new one. So I'll just get the website up actually so I can show this. I know you've obviously this is not going to help our podcast listeners, but if you're listening to the podcast, you can come back and watch the video. But if you just go to mevo.com, you can find out a little bit more about this. So this, I'm currently sharing on the screen, this is the Mevo Start, which I think is coming out in April, and this gives you 1080p, so really good quality. It's got a really nice microphone, but you can also plug in external microphone as well. Then there's the Mevo Plus, which is the current one. So where do I go here? So Mevo Plus, this is a 4K camera, and this is kind of higher quality in terms of the video, and that's particularly good if you want to zoom in to different camera angles and things like that. There's also, I believe, there's an extra device that you can plug into the Mevo Plus called the Mevo Boost as well. So I wondered if you could talk about that, and then I want to talk to you maybe after my next sponsor about how you control it, because you've mentioned that you control it from your smartphone. So some people might be a little bit wanting to know a little bit more about that, because that's a really cool feature. But first of all, just tell us about the Mevo Boost.
Well, we talked about video quality and audio and battery, but obviously connectivity. The ability to get the stream out to the cloud is critical. So in this product, we have 2 Wi-Fi antenna, and we've spent a lot of time making sure that Mevo's Wi-Fi is very, very robust. It's 5G or 2.5G, and 2 antennas I mentioned. And we have other technique to make sure we have really robust Wi-Fi connectivity. In addition, on the Mevo Stand, we have an adapter. It's on our website, which you can connect to the USB-C, and it's like a dongle with an Ethernet input, and that will allow you to not only connect it wide for peace of mind, 100% reliability to a wide internet Ethernet input, but also you can power it if you have a power over Ethernet switch. So now at your venue, you just have this and one cable coming in, and you're done. You can have 24/7 cameras, always powered, always wide. So back to the current product, which is shipping, Mevo Plus. As you mentioned, we have a boost accessory which does 2 things. It plugs at the back, and people can look at it, but it increases the battery life to about 10 hours of streaming. It also makes it rainproof, and it allows you to have a audio input through USB at the back, and Ethernet, not power over Ethernet, but Ethernet. So it's like the accessory that if you want to upgrade the battery life, the waterproofing, and have connectivity for audio and network, that's very useful. About more than a third, maybe 40% of our customers for Mevo Plus use that accessory. That's
cool. That's awesome. So I was just showing that on the screen, the Mevo Boost. So that's really cool. So with the new the Mevo Start, you can plug in audio, but you can also plug in Ethernet as well, because that's going to be important for, I think, I don't know, some churches, probably the Wi-Fi isn't that great, or some conference centers, the Wi-Fi isn't that great. So it's going to be great that you could plug in wide and just have a more stable connection, which is really cool.
We've been lucky that general Wi-Fi has improved thanks to router like Eero and Google Router. In the beginning, when we launched the first product in 2016, like 90% of Wi-Fi were useless. Now I think we're dealing with 80% being good, but peace of mind and venues, wide Ethernet is key, and that's supported in both products.
Absolutely. Definitely. Right. Well, it's just time to bring in my next sponsor, which is just getting it up. It's Content 10X. So I'm a big fan of Content 10X. They've been sponsoring the podcast and show pretty much from the start. They are experts in content repurposing, which is one of the things I love about live video. I love the interaction with my audience and being able to just have some fun. But the great thing is once you've created your live video, it's a really easy way of creating content. You can then repurpose that across loads of different platforms. And this is what Content 10X does. They will take that one piece of content and repurpose it to explode across the interwebs. So for example, this show, you can then, once you press the end broadcast button, Content 10X will then repurpose that into blog posts, podcast episodes, videos, social media images, loads of different things, and it helps you reach new audiences and saves you time so you can focus on building your business. Of course, if you want to do it yourself, that's absolutely fine. And Content 10X have got loads of resources on their website about how to do this. They've got a website and they've also got a podcast and now a book, the Content 10X book. So if you want to find out more, all you need to do is go to content10x.com and you can find out all about that. And I thank you, Amy, and the team at Content 10X for sponsoring the show. Awesome. So we had some comments. I'll just bring them onto the screen. One of them was from where's it gone now? It was Mike Alton says very cool, and Scott says, so is the quality similar to say a Logitech webcam? I don't know whether that's maybe a bit of a mean question, but yeah, if you're kind of streaming from a computer and you're using like a standard, I don't know, like a Logitech C920, how would the Mevo camera compare to that?
I think it compares more to Pro, and we use a Sony sensor, which is the world's best sensor range that you can use for cameras. We've not done a side by side, but I would expect greater quality, especially in the use case of an event that we have versus a very close one-to-one conversation with a webcam. Also, in terms of light sensitivity, the new camera actually it goes from 4K to 1080p. But one of the great advantages is the pixels on the sensor becomes bigger, and one of our objectives is greater light sensitivity, so indoor content and venues. And our customers have been reporting great feedback. It was one of our #1 requests for the Mevo Plus. So yeah, it's ultimately it's a superior sensor technology. It's superior optic technology and optic size. Compare it more to the highest end GoPro if you want to get a sense. Also in the new one, we have something to note. We've chosen a lens that instead of having a very wide angle and then it's in the hardware, but it's still in software, you flatten the image from a very warpy image to a flatter one. But that creates a lot of deformation. In the new camera, we have actually customized and from our partner a lens where it's still wide angle, but the kind of flattening the image back to what you expect to see without all the warping is done optically in the glass. So all of these things, get you to where we are today. Specifically side by side, blog post or video, but somebody should do it and have a better answer for you.
That's cool. Fab. And yeah, Scott says the audio feature sounds awesome, which I definitely agree. So the difference, there's a few differences between the Start and the Plus. So the Start is the camera that's coming out in April. And one of them is that there's lots of really advantages. But the one thing that maybe seems like a downside is that it's not 4K, it's 1080p, but there's obviously a lot of advantages. One of the things that I noticed about the Plus that's a really amazing feature is the way that you can effectively change camera angles, so you can zoom in to different places or different positions on that. Is that something that you can do on the Start? And does the fact that it's 1080p be a disadvantage?
So yeah, the main reason the Plus we chose 4K is to do this cropping. So this virtual camera editing, you can cut and zoom, and it looks like a real camera. We stream in 1080p and we crop for 4K. For the new product, actually, at first we did not announce the feature. We were not going to do it because we were concerned that because it's a 1080p sensor, it might not look as good or better. But all of our customers, when we announced it, basically came back and say, "Hey, the Mevo is not only the only live streaming camera, but it's the camera that does virtual editing. It needs to be there." So we scrambled and we added it actually, and we were very pleased and surprised that the video quality in most use case is on par with what we had before. So that's a fully supported feature. It's not magic. You still if you have very low light, it's not going to be that great. If you have great lighting, it will look you probably won't be able to tell that it's a single camera. And then our real answer long term. So the reason we made this virtual multi-camera editing is again our desire. How do we help people make it look like TV? Like you have an interview, you have 3 cameras, but without the crew and all the gear. So that was our first implementation of that, which is virtual camera editing. For this new generation of in 2020, we're releasing Mevo Multicam. It's a new app feature that will be in beta soon, and it's basically adding switcher functionality into our native app, so you can connect 3 or 4 different Mevo camera. It will work between Mevo Start and Mevo Plus, and you can do switching, and obviously we already have graphics there. So that's the #1 request from our customer. I love the Mevo to do stationary, native stage, because it's very discreet. I love it to do virtual camera editing, even automated virtual camera editing. But now I'm ready to have real multi-angle. I'm ready to add another camera. I know how to use the app. I know how to use the network. And we didn't have an answer for that other than going to a different ecosystem by a switcher and things like that. Livestream Studio supports actually already doing multi-camera, but it's a Windows and Mac piece of software. So that's coming, and it will be in beta in a few weeks. And then we'll keep adding a feature. And then the other thing we've done is we've added NDI support. So this is the world's only, if you're familiar with NDI, all of the switcher like OBS, obviously NewTek TriCaster, Livestream Studio, Wirecast, and others support this, the way to bring a camera remotely over Wi-Fi or Ethernet. And we've implemented it so you can put this on a network. And if you use any of these NDI switcher, now you can use Mevo as an NDI camera as an input. Includes support for tally, so with the light when it's live. Includes support for virtual zooming, and it's the most affordable NDI camera in the market. And we're excited that when we ship Mevo Start, many people will use it for that as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with NDI, it sounds a little bit technical, but actually a lot of software that I've been talking about on the show supports NDI. I know that, for example, Ecamm Live, which is one of the tools that I'm using, supports NDI, and some of the higher end stuff like Wirecast does too. So that's really awesome. So you could actually fix some Mevo cameras around your area, your conference event center or church, and then plug it into your existing software. Or you could use the app on your phone to be able to switch camera angles. And of course, you can switch camera angles just if you have one Mevo camera. You can zoom into different elements. Is there anything more you want to say about the actual app? Anything else that you can do? I mean, obviously you can stream to presumably Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and most of the main platforms from that. Is there anything else that we need to know about the actual app?
There's a few things. So the app is for iOS and Android, works on tablets as well as phone. If you are using the camera as a Wi-Fi access point, let's say you're at a venue that does not have any network or outside, then when you stream, it actually uses your phone LTE. But if you make the camera join with the Ethernet adapter or with Wi-Fi, an existing network, the app is only used for control. So once the streaming goes, you can turn off the app and the stream continues. In the app, you do everything from configuring it to press the Go Live button, choose any platform. With the Vimeo Live platform, you can actually reach, and the subscription, you can reach multiple platforms at the same time. But the camera is fully open. So if you want to use a service like restream.io, they give you an RTMP URL, and you can put it in the Mevo camera as well and use their syndication. Natively in the app, you have support also that we've recently announced for LinkedIn Live and Twitch. That's rolling out both this month, but it's committed. You can do all the virtual editing, the automated editing. And then on the audio side, we have something pretty unique where we have an app in the App Store for iOS and Android called the Mevo Mic. And if anyone on the same network download this app and put it on their phone with Bluetooth headset or with a wired headset, you as the Mevo app producer can pick up their audio source, and we wirelessly synchronize it, full lip sync and everything you'd expect. And you can suddenly, instead of using obviously it's always great to have a real mixer with, properly wired microphone, and you can have peace of mind. But again, if you can't really go that far, and you want to use but you want to have everybody speaking directly into a microphone, so you have the best audio possible, the Mevo microphone is also a unique part of our software, tool set.
That's awesome. Well, I know that you're very busy today, so I don't want to take up any more of your time, but just a few more things before I let you go. You mentioned before we started recording the podcast, something that you're doing in New York. You're actually giving away some Mevo cameras. Can you just share a little bit about what you're doing there with the current crisis with the virus?
Yeah, actually today I'm at the office with a very limited team for obvious reasons. And the reason we're here is that we decided that we can basically do good and help critical organizations that need to live stream and communicate get up to speed, and with donations. So we've donated 100 Mevo cameras, Pro bundle, so the stand and the boost and the Mevo Plus, in the case to 100 public school in New York. So we're working on preparing that and delivering that before we can no longer do that. And then we've also offered, on the Mevo Camera Twitter or the Instagram, there is a form where we've asked people that if they have organization that could benefit from a donation, we will donate also an additional 100 cameras. So that we've received more than 1,000 people requests. We won't be able to do them all, but also this week, if we're allowed to come, we will ship these other 100 camera. And then lastly, it's been warming to realize that live streaming is always been important. It's important in different situations, but in this one, it's been critical to many organizations. It's not difficult to imagine from hospitals wanting to do broadcast, not just conferencing, to governments doing announcement, to schools wanting to teach, but also house of worship that suddenly maybe many house of worship have been doing live streaming. It's one of the most popular vertical, but maybe also many were not interested, and now they have to do it immediately because yes, they want to obviously reach their audience and their constituency. So the sales or demand for Mevo Camera has surged 10 times in the last week. So our remote office workers and relying on the postal service and relying on our warehouse partner, but we can do our piece remotely, we're doing everything we can to continue to ship and onboard these new customers and support them. But so hopefully we won't run out of stock. We've actually, last thing I want to mention, we've started a crowdfunding campaign on wefunder.com/Mevo. That's not like a Kickstarter, that's a true crowdfunding where you can buy Mevo Inc. stock and be an investor. And the reason we're doing that is that we want to increase our cash quickly so we can buy more Mevo Start camera quicker so we can avoid running out of stock. Right now we're running out of stock of Mevo Plus. If it continues at this rate, in less than 20 days probably.
Wow. So yeah, well, thank you for mentioning that. I was going to ask you, and that's actually a really important thing because there are going to be organizations around the world that will actually really need your product. And yeah, so I will put the link to that in the show notes. Scott Ayres says our church needs one of these. We went live last week for the first time ever using an iPad. It worked, but this is so cool. And people can order the Mevo from Mevo.com, and I know Amazon do it. And where in the world can people get it from? I know there was a friend of mine in India who's got a church and they're wanting to do it. That might be a bit tricky, but there was probably always a way. But where in the world can people buy it from?
So we have a great reseller partner network. In the US, it's at Best Buy stores. It's also obviously on Amazon, at B&H online, and Adorama, they are key partner. In Europe, it's on Amazon and also some other reseller. It's also in Australia and New Zealand. And it's not in Asia readily available. It's in some place in the Middle East. But if you're in a country that a reseller cannot reach you, you can go on mevo.com, check out, and there's a list of countries that some we will ship from the New York, to, if the system continues to work, and some we can't. But it's generally available, definitely available in Europe and North America.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Max. It's been great to have you on the show. I'm going to let you go because you've got a very busy day, but I really appreciate you coming on. And if you've got any questions, just pop them in the comments. And also, of course, do check out the website. Just go to iag.me/podcast. The show notes for this will be at iag.me/46. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray. Be sure to join the community at iag.me, where you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. And until next time, toodaloo.